2 weeks ago, I did something as an experiment. I stopped consuming short form content in one afternoon, and I was genuinely not prepared for what came next. But before I tell you what happened, let me tell you why I did it. One afternoon, I figured out why I could not build anything, and it had nothing to do with my laziness, my discipline, or my time. It took me a long time to admit what it actually was because admitting it meant admitting how much I had lost, how many days, how many ideas, how many such moments where something could have been born but was not because I was always somewhere else. 8 to 9 hours a day on my phone every single day. Not learning anything, not creating anything, not even properly resting, just scrolling, watching the same content cycle through a loop. Like a conveyor belt I could not step off. I had 15 other people sending me the same reels in my messages, reels that I have already watched, and I would watch them again every single time. At some point, it stopped being something I did and became something that happened to me. I would pick up my phone without deciding to, I would open an app without meaning to. I would look up, and an hour had passed, and I could not tell you a single thing I had seen. And every night, the guilt would sit on my chest, quiet and heavy, as I put the phone down in the dark. Another day gone. Nothing changed, nothing built, nothing to show for the hours except a vague, formless anxiety I could not name and could not shake off. My brain had stopped working in the way I remembered it working. I could not sit with a thought long enough to finish it. I would start a sentence in my head and lose it before it ended. My attention span, the thing that allows you to stay with an idea long enough for it to become something, was gone, just eroded. I told myself tomorrow I'll stop, tomorrow I'll be productive, tomorrow I'll finally start that thing I keep thinking about, that thing that lives in the back of my mind like a door I keep walking past and never opening. Tomorrow became a week became a month, and a month became a year. So one afternoon, I stopped, not with a plan. I just paused everything in one go and put the phone down and waited to see what was on the other side. I want to be honest with you. I was not on social media a little, I was on it a lot. My screen time was averaging 8 to 9 hours a day. That's a full time job, except instead of getting paid, I was just getting more anxious. I would wake up and check my phone before I had even got out of bed. I would be mid conversation with someone and feel the itch to pull it out. It had become a sorry it what am I saying? It had become a reflex, not a choice. The first few days were uncomfortable in a way I was not prepared for. I kept reaching out for my phone out of pure habit, not because I wanted to, but because my hands had memorized the motion. Unlock, open, scroll. It was a tick, and catching yourself doing something you did not consciously choose, that's a strange, unsettling feeling, like meeting an automated version of yourself running on loops you did not write. I also felt the silence because without the scroll, there was nothing to fill the gaps. The 30 seconds waiting for the tea to boil, the 2 minutes in a queue, the quiet while having food alone, and at the end of the day, when there's nothing left to do but be there, I had been filling every single one of those moments for so long that I had forgotten what they felt like empty. And empty at first felt like something was wrong. I also felt a strange FOMO, not because I was missing something important, but because I was suddenly very aware of how much I had been using my phone as a filler for every quiet moment in my life. Without it, I had to actually sit with myself, and at first, honestly, that was the most uncomfortable part of all. But then slowly something started to change. My mornings changed completely. I started waking up slowly, not reaching out for my phone before my eyes had adjusted to the light, not handing my brain to someone else's content before I had even decided who I was gonna be that day. I would just be there in the quiet, in my own body, in my own morning. It felt almost radical. The simplest thing in the world felt radical. Then my attention span came back, not all at once, gradually, the way you feel when your limb wakes up after it's been asleep for a long time. I read an entire book in 2 weeks, something I had not done in over a year. I was cooking without a podcast playing, going on walks without earphones, sitting with my own thoughts long enough to actually have them, to follow them somewhere, to see where they led. My mood stabilized in a way I had not anticipated. I had not realized how much noise I was living inside. Every time I opened an app, there was this subtle current running underneath everything: her career, her body, her relationship, her apartment. I was not consciously comparing, it was just happening in the background all the time. When that stopped, when I stepped out of that current, the emotional baseline I was living at just quietly improved. The water got calmer, and the most unexpected thing, real conversations got deeper. When you cannot post something, you have to actually say it to someone. I found myself calling people just to tell them things, not for an audience, just because I wanted to share something with someone I actually cared about. It was a kind of real connection I had not felt in a long time. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend it was all clarity and peace. There was real downside. I genuinely missed things. There are conversations that only happen in those spaces, events I only found out about through a feed I was no longer looking at, a kind of being connected to the world that only exists there. And when you leave, you feel the absence of it. And then there were the moments of loneliness I had to face completely head on. No scroll to reach out for, no content to slide in between me and the feeling, just the feeling, sitting there waiting to be acknowledged. That was the hardest thing of all. Not the boredom, not the FOMO, the loneliness, and the realization of how long I had been numbing it without even knowing I was doing it. Here's what this entire experiment has taught me: social media is not inherently evil, but the way I was using it, passively, compulsively, as an escape, that was doing real damage I was not even seeing. The platform was not the problem, I was the problem. I had no boundaries, no intention, no awareness. I was consuming constantly and creating nothing, comparing constantly and appreciating nothing, filling every moment. So I never had to hear what I was actually thinking. The damage was not loud. It did not announce itself. It just accumulated quietly, steadily, until one day I looked up and realized I could not think straight anymore, could not sit still, could not begin. Taking a step back gave me something I genuinely did not know I was missing: myself. It did not change or improve me as a person. It just gave me access to my own thoughts again, my own peace, my own ideas, without them being immediately drowned out by everyone else's noise. I came back eventually, but differently, on my own terms. I'm still trying to use it as less as possible. Time limits are set, notifications are off, post and ghost instead of waiting for notifications to show up. Being there by choice, not by reflex. It feels completely different when it's a choice rather than a habit. I don't have it figured out yet. I'm not an expert in anything except my own life. I don't have a plan or a perfect setup or a ring light. I just have the decision, and I'm done letting my days disappear into a screen. And this channel, this video right here, is part of that choice. I'm not telling you to delete everything, but I'm asking you, when was the last time you put the phone down and just existed for a while? No content, no audience, no performance, no filling the silence with someone else's noise. Just you in your own life, fully there. Try it, even for one day. You might be surprised by what you find when the noise finally stops, by what was always there waiting underneath all of it. If any part of this felt familiar, subscribe, because I'm just getting started and I'm not doing this alone. Love you.